changes on that meeting.
Okay, then those will stand approved as submitted. The next one, the regular meeting of November 3rd, 2010. I have an issue with, I think, starting with November 3rd and going to the regular meeting of November 16th and the regular meeting of December 7th. That's the...
Mine is doing this, and I'm not sure.
Is this dance music?
No, it's you talking.
Oh, no!
Yeah. And I'm not sure why it's doing that.
My question is, this is when Dave switched over to using the SIRE program to take minutes, and the minutes, you can get one of them up there.
All right, thank you.
November 3rd. We have no information really and no discussion. We just have the motions and the voting record and the titles or the taglines from the agenda. And I'm wondering if that's the way we want to proceed, or if we want to flesh these minutes out a little bit, or ask Dave to do that. It's just a new version of the minutes. I think we need to consider what kind of written record we want to have of our meeting. We do have tapes, but nonetheless, this is pretty bare bones.
That and I will worry about it in January.
Well, would you like to hold the minutes of those meetings on November 3rd, November 16th, and December 7th for later approval, or do you want to ask Dave to flesh these out? I mean, there were some conversations that we had, particularly one of the things that I missed was on November 16th, we welcomed new firefighters. And that's all the minutes say. And I think it would be very appropriate to have their names in those minutes.
We can adjust that.
Yeah.
I mean, they're on the record, so we can adjust that, so we want to hold off on approving them the next time we can.
Now, what were the two meetings that the recordings didn't work?
That is the
December 7th.
December 7th, and there's one other one and that was because not of machine malfunctions, but the microphones were unplugged.
Well, it would be my recommendation that if we had a meeting where we don't have a recording, we better rely on your handwritten notes and have you incorporate those notes into the minutes to make it full.
I keep notes, and then Susan keeps some too, but so we have them. But on the other hand, if we, I know these minutes are bare bones, but they won't get on to be available. Now, people will be able to listen to some of these tapes. Two of them, unfortunately, we don't have tapes. And then there wouldn't be anything out there. That's the other side of the coin until after the first of the year, until we could approve these couple of sets of minutes. And it's okay by me either way, however we do it. It's kind of some of the, I guess, growing pains on this system, and then, we had that one, call it malfunction on the equipment.
Well, they look good, but they're missing some
They're bare bones.
Yeah. It's my recommendation that we hold off on those three. And then the special meeting of November 10th, I think there was enough information there.
Yeah.
So we could...
Which ones are we holding off on?
Holding off on November 3rd, regular meeting of November 16th, and regular meeting of December 7th.
Okay.
And you are going to use your notes to flesh out the meetings of November 7th. You're going to add the names of the new firefighters to the November 16th minutes, and then maybe a discussion with the three of us as we reconsider, maybe listen to the tape for November 10th as to whether we need to add some. And just to let the public know, as we've gotten used to and begun working with the SIRE system, there is a way for Mr. Simcoe to be able to record our meetings right on the computer. And what you see up there is an example of what he can do with just a couple of strokes of a key.
Yes.
But to actually type and listen and digest, this is still a work in progress, and we're going to get there. And thank you for your patience on that.
In the end, it should be a good thing. It's
Yeah.
just kind of getting us there.
Right.
And it's simple, but some of it's fairly sophisticated, equipment too. So,
What happened to
Well, we're
the
getting
minutes
there.
for the emergency meeting?
What's that?
What happened to the minutes of that meeting?
That's there.
They took it off?
The minutes.
The emergency meeting at
Yeah.
9 a.m.?
It's the,
I was not present at that meeting,
oh, that, we considered that last time, at the
Yeah.
last meeting.
but I mean, they still had me on there as being there. And I did not,
I think, didn't they get approved at the last meeting?
no, I didn't approve that one. We were gonna suspend those to this meeting, discuss those, to approve all those minutes.
Well, we'll have to go back and listen to
All
the
right.
record. Okay. Additions or deletions to the agenda. I'd like to recognize, Tom, thank you for sitting in the front row.
I'm gonna get right in line with you.
I can see you. I'd like to add Tom Stokes' report to, under the fire department, maybe after the monthly report. And under administrator, or maybe zoning. Under zoning, I'd like to add a brief discussion about the Riga windmill. Brief. And then I would like to rearrange other and public comment at the end. I would like other to be last. I would like to make some comments. If that's all right.
Okay, we'll let you.
Thanks. And that, does anybody else have any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Yes, I do. I want to just add on two things, and we can put that under probably Public Works.
What?
About the water and about the T-Magog thing with that.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
I can. I can.
So we're, a water discussion under Public Works, the TMACOG, you mean the,
The study for the water.
oh, the water study. I thought, you said event, I thought maybe you
No,
meant
no,
the General Assembly.
No,
Okay,
thank God. And then making a checkbook that day.
okay. Anything else?
Mrs. Control, I'd like to add to the fire department a report on the sirens, moving the sirens from number 2's to number 3's fire station.
Anything else? All right. Then we'll move on to hearing of the public on agenda items only. Did anybody sign up to speak?
No one there.
Okay. You crossed off your name, Carol? Is this-
Oh, that must have been from last week or something.
Okay. All right, no one has signed up to speak. So we will close the hearing of the public and move to the zoning.
Let's talk about windmills, I guess, huh?
Okay, just very briefly, I've gotten a couple emails, and I think you probably have as well, from some residents who are concerned about a proposed windmill farm that's perhaps going up in Riga Township. And I think that since that is an adjacent jurisdiction, we're very close, we need to probably find out what's going on, maybe attend some hearings and gather some information. And it's hard to respond to the residents when we really don't have that kind of information. Not only is it a different jurisdiction, it's a different state, but nonetheless,
And I think they're in pretty infant stages of the whole process itself up there, but I do think somebody got the word out very quickly, and there are concerned citizens, so as much as we know, at least we could tell them what we know.
Well, and better to start gathering information in the infant stages
Yes.
than when we're way down the road and it's really hard to
Yes.
do anything.
Breaking ground.
Should we want to?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
I spoke to a gentleman who went to the meeting at the zoning, where they were in discussion stages. Most of them were against it, but one person was for it on their zoning board. So that's where it was at their zoning meeting. Their next meeting takes place in January. I told them that I would attend, if you guys don't mind, and I'll find out the information.
That'd be great. Okay.
I'll
And,
report to you at the county level.
okay. And also, I did talk to Mayor Stahl about it, and he, I think, probably was contacted by the same residents, and he's looking for information as well, so,
I've got some information also.
okay. And
So-
sometimes rumors do more damage than just having some good facts, and that may be where we're at. But we don't know. All right, that's it for the zoning department?
That's it.
Okay, moving on to the public works department.
Yes, good evening. Before you is a contract for clean wood recycling to properly dispose of our organic material. Page 3 of the contract illustrates the brush and leaf pickup schedules. And throughout the contract is miscellaneous information. It's a one-year contract with the option for renewal for 2012 and 2013. And I'm available for any questions for the board members.
Somewhere, when I looked at this earlier, I saw that there were some attachments or addendums to the contract.
Yes,
I'm not finding them right now.
They're
I-
probably in this meeting.
I have them attached to the contract. I have
We have one was, I think, the terrorist, I'm not a terrorist declamation.
Yeah, terrorist.
Actually, the first page illustrates all four.
Oh, okay, thanks. That's what it is. Okay. And I'm assuming that they carry an adequate amount of insurance,
Correct.
and we'll have a copy of that.
Yes, we will.
Okay. Any
I did
questions?
discuss with City Sylvania, because I went to their meeting last night, and they were talking about us possibly using their facility and everything, but the cost was exorbitant more than what it would be to go to where we're at now.
I think it's a fair, it seems like a fair price.
It is a very fair price for what we're getting, because they're gonna do the 2 full fall and spring cleanups and our leaves, so. And others to do it other than that would cost us way too much money if we did it with the city or something too. I looked at their prices, because we'd have to man it.
I think most importantly, this keeps our options open for the future as
That's what
well.
I'm thinking.
So,
Is this, what if we got out of it halfway through, would they charge us $6,500, or this is just for the full year?
it would be for the full year, yes, sir.
I'll offer resolution 10-365, to enter in contract with Clean Wood Recycling for our yard waste, our leaves and whatever waste it is.
Brush.
Brush, thank you. I don't have to
Second.
download it when it's up.
I'll second.
I'm calling the roll. Mr. Genowine?
No.
Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Ms. Contrada?
Yes.
The next item is Resolution 10-364, authorizing the Township Administrator to act as the CEO for our OPWC project. This is a housekeeping item. Now that Mr. Zeitler is our new administrator, we should reflect that on our OPWC format.
Or for the bond.
I'll offer Resolution 10-364, resolution authorizing Township Administrator to act as Chief Executive Officer and to prepare and submit an application to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission state capital improvement and/or local transportation improvement programs, and to execute contracts as required and dispensing with the second reading.
Second.
Calling the roll. Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Ms. Contrada?
Yes.
The next item is just a brief discussion regarding our 2011 OPWC project that's scheduled next month or in the short coming months here. chatting with the county engineer's office, we believe that we have an opportunity to save some money if we divide this project into two phases, Phase 1, Phase 2. Phase 1 entailing all of the subsurface work, i.e. drainage, and then Phase 2 would be strictly resurfacing. So we wish to move forward under that pretense, and we could have both Phase 1 and Phase 2 ready for the board on the January 18th meeting, or when the board decides to set the meeting date, but it'll be ready towards the end of January. Open the bids towards the end of February and award the bids in the start of March. So right in time for the construction season. So.
Questions?
That's all I have, then pending the other two items.
Oh, okay. You wanted to talk about the water?
Yeah, I just spent $2.5 million downtown at city council meeting, listening to everything in their brother about things, and they were talking about the water rates finally when I had to leave for our meeting. And the water rates are gonna go up approximately 30% because Mayor Bell's proposal was rejected by council, and they were going on with Rob Ludeman's proposal, which is slightly less, which is gonna result in an increase to everybody in the whole county, and nothing we can do about it, but I was there to listen. So I wanted to bring that information back to us.
Well, thanks for being there. I appreciate that. And you had mentioned TMACOG.
The Sylvania City last night voted to spend the $5,000 for the $55,000 of all the jurisdictions to look at a regional water study.
Right.
I also proposed to them that if the cost is going to be up that exorbitant, that we should continue to look into putting our own water system back in through the city of Sylvania, where they were discussing what funds. I said, with government funds available now, it'd probably be in our best interest to start looking into that proposal. We could supply water to southern Michigan, Henry, and Fulton counties, and taking care of all of Western. And the mayor did say that Perrysburg and Rossford were interested in getting to with us and not staying with the city of Cleveland.
Well, I am on the TMACOG Regional Water Policy Discussion Group, and that's been divided into three subcommittees. One is the legal subcommittee, one is the technical subcommittee, and one is the policy subcommittee. And I'm on the policy portion, but also on the larger board. And what is very interesting is that, according to the people who've been around a long time, this is really the first time in over 25 years that we are having this regional discussion, and people are saying we need to be having this discussion. There is, it involves 6 counties, multiple water districts. They all go about it differently. The rates are different, and there is surprisingly a monumental amount of data gathering and synthesizing. You know, who's paying what, how long is their contract, what are the terms of the contract, how do you get out of it, how do you renew it, and one of the big hurdles before we can even start talking policy and where we want to go as a region is figuring out what we've got now. And part of the cost of that study, and I don't think it's before the township yet, is to consolidate that information and also to take an inventory of what we've got now, what's going on with our infrastructure, who is operating it. It's, you know, it's very complex, and there really hasn't been an update since, I think, 1986. So that's what the cost is for. And there is only one community that from the very beginning said they weren't interested in at least talking, and that was Oregon.
Oregon, they mentioned that last night, but when Oregon has their own system, they don't want to share their money with anybody because they're very solvent right now, solvent-wise.
Well, but everybody else wants to talk for various reasons, even if it's just to make sure that the community that those people live in or represent or work for is represented. Mm-hmm. So I think it's probably one of the most, and will become maybe the most important conversation this region's going to have in the next year or so. It's really important that the member jurisdictions support this. They're all being asked to support at the same amount, rather than say, well, Toledo's the biggest, you pay the most. And all the jurisdictions agreed. We're all in it together, we're all going to pay the same amount. And that was the recommendation from the board. So but it is very interesting, and
It is.
I think that TMACOG will probably have some updates ready within the next couple months.
They said 3 months.
Anything else under Public Works?
Just want to bring that to everybody's attention.
Moving on to Defense.
Good evening. You have before you the November monthly report. As you can see, our fire runs were slightly reduced, 2010 from 2009, and our EMS runs were slightly increased from last year. We had a total net gain of a combination of about 14 runs from what we had at the same time last year. Our commercial building inspection program is continuing to progress. The inspection's a little bit less in November because we did spend quite a bit of time at the training building that we had right down the street, practicing live fire, burn, search and rescue, firefighter safety, and then actually we burnt the building down also on one weekend, so that was quite an ordeal. So the crews were there most of the time during that month, training and drilling. The Fire Prevention Bureau reviewed 13 plans. If you look at page 2, the fire response incident, the incident at 5481 South Main Street, where we had Mrs. Contrada in isolation for a short period of time due to
In beauty shop lock.
due to that possible hazardous material that we had in the hotel itself. We did require the aid of Toledo Fire Division's hazmat unit to go out to the scene. The very next day at 6633 Monroe Street and early in the morning, we had some white powder that was actually put around the fire stations and down some of the commercial buildings in downtown Sylvania. We did take a sample of that. It was taken down to Toledo Fire Division and analyzed. The powder that was taken out of 5480 Main Street was a base for makeup, and the powder that we sent down to have analyzed from 6633 Monroe Street on number 1's fire station was basically flour. This individual, since then, has been arrested, and he is pending trial. We had several incidents, rescue incidents, none of any consequence. If you go to page 4, the mutual aid responses, we did fill in with Toledo Fire Division a couple times. The first one was November 2nd. We filled in while they were having multiple fires. We filled in at 23's fire station. And then we did receive mutual aid from them at that 5480 Main Street incident. And then we also provided mutual aid to Whiteford Township Fire Department on an EMS call, vehicle accident. And on page 5, we did do another fill-in for Springfield Fire, or we did a mutual aid response with Springfield Township on the expressway. We have a mutual aid contract with them we help them cover from Monroe Street all the way up to Airport Highway going south, and they assist us going north from Airport Highway all the way up to the county line. So we have a mutual agreement there. We send one vehicle each to help with car accidents. We did have another fill-in then on November 25th, Toledo Fire Division again, while they had multiple fires. So we've been providing and receiving mutual aid quite a bit again in the month of November. Public safety education, we did do a total of 4 public safety events, a couple talks, station tours. I have been taking over some of the responsibilities of the extended care facilities. The state of Ohio always did a fire safety program with them. Both members from the state fire marshal's office, one is retiring and one is ill, so they cannot provide that service, and each one of our extended care facilities or nursing homes needs that training once a year. So I've been providing that for the extended care facilities and hospitals in our area. As I said, we had 13 building plan reviews. We had 1 environmental review and 1 liquor permit. I believe that was brought up last meeting, of the transfer of the liquor permit at Max and Irma's. On page 6, there was no EMS training the month of November. So you'll see no hours there. There isn't any training for Lucas County EMS the month of December either. So That's going to keep our overtime numbers down as far as sending the paramedics to school. They will continue on again in January. The January schedule's up. Members have already signed up. So that training will begin again in January. The training report, we did spend a lot of time in the acquired structure that we had on Pennsylvania. It was very valuable. The firefighters learned quite a bit about fire suppression. As we have some of our younger individuals on the department now, they got to get their hands on the nozzle and actually go in and do some firefighting in that building. We also did a Save Your Own program where we practiced on getting firefighters out of a collapse, simulated floor collapse, to see what it takes to get somebody out in case something happens during a fire. The building was burnt down on a Sunday. We chose a Sunday morning when it was nice and quiet and there weren't very many people around because it was quite a sight. I'll have to show you some pictures later, but it was, we had a photographer there that took one picture every minute, and it was very impressive to see the fire build every minute, how it builds and engulf that whole facility. We also had a person from a TV station that did filming with us, and they're going to provide us a film for a documentary that they're doing on fire and how fire spreads, and hopefully when that's done, the young lady will get us the film and we'll make it available for you also. Personal hiring and development, the last page, we have 4 of our part-time recruits that have finished the recruit class. Mark Hoffman, Derek Myers, Clifford Reeves, and Nick Scalzo. 2 of them are, one of them is a paramedic, and the other one should be finishing his paramedic training sometime in January. They have all been put on on a shift and part-time basis, so they have signed up for the part-time, as a part-time firefighter. The other individual has applied for paramedic school and he has not been accepted yet. That's all I have for the monthly report. In case anybody has anything for me.
I have a
Yes.
question on the live burn. Am I reading this right, that you actually responded from a different location? Did you?
Yes,
How did that work?
what we do is we stage the vehicles out, we stage them actually here in the parking lot, and then we set up we run it just like we would a regular structure fire, put a fake tone over, announce the fire, and then they respond from here down to that building, non-lights and siren, non-emergent. And then once they get there, it's real time, then they take the hydrant, pull the lines, and it's a real-time scenario. So we try to make it as realistic as we possibly could for the firefighters to go in and attack the fire.
I was really wondering about the lights and sirens.
Yeah, no, we didn't do lights and sirens. We didn't want that liability.
Right.
So
Sounds like a really good training.
it was very valuable training. Captain Smith did a great job in organizing the training and implementing the training over the shifts. The other issue I have, any other questions about the report? Great. The other issue I have to bring up is that we've been in contact with the county EMA on moving of the 2 tornado sirens, the 1 siren at the old number 3's fire station and also the siren at the old number 2's fire station. In conversations with the county, it costs approximately $10,000 to move an existing siren, and approximately $17,000 to erect a new siren. We had several conversations with them, told them that our budget can't absorb that, and that asked them if there was any type of help that they could give us as far as relocation of the sirens. I talked to them last Friday, I believe it was, and they have applied for a grant, and that grant will provide half the money or half the cost of moving those sirens. So our net cost to move the siren, 1 siren would be approximately $5,000. That would be movement of the siren, taking down all the equipment inside the building, the receivers, the electronics and everything, and moving it to the new building. We would have to erect a new pole or a new tower. I'm not sure if the existing tower at number 2's could be used at the new number 2's fire station or not, but the old tower or the pole that we use at number 3's it's a wooden pole, so that would have to be replaced. But the approximate cost is $5,000 with the county. We would have $10,000 total cost to move both sirens, and the county would kick in $10,000. And that is in, the grant has been applied for, it's a done deal, it's a sure thing, they said, and if we want to back out of it, we can. I did not give them a commitment as far as the fact that we would actually do it or not. I told them that we're very interested in doing it, and it would be up to the board whether they want to proceed with the project or not.
Whose obligation is it to run the siren?
They pay for the equipment, the running of the equipment, the maintaining of the equipment, to make sure it operates properly. They pay for all that. All we provide them basically is a place to erect it. And it's their responsibility to operate the siren. They do it through a radio communications, radio wave communications. When they set the sirens off, it's done throughout the county.
Well, I find it somewhat disturbing that we're getting stuck with a bill for a community safety item that is not our responsibility to run in the first place. And I know we had talked about, seeing if the county would split it, but it seems to me that if the cost of moving the grant is $10,000, the cost of moving the siren, is $10,000, and there's a grant for $5,000, that leaves a remaining $5,000, and I would be very willing to consider paying $2,500.
Right.
And having the county pay $2,500.
So we'll hold that off until next month when Mr.
Sure.
Travis County Commissioner, we can have her take care of it for us.
I think that's fair.
Well, I did ask them why they couldn't kick in, the county couldn't kick in money, and basically they said that they are there to provide the equipment, maintain it, to make sure it works properly, but we have to pay to move it.
Is there any kind of protocol that defines how close these sirens need to be to one another? Where's the next one?
Yeah, I did not bring a siren map with me, but we do have a map showing that the areas, the best areas to have a siren and to make sure that they overlap in those areas. The one at, the siren that we have at number 3's fire station now, the park on, just behind 5700 Monroe. What's the name of that park in the city? Nobody can help me.
Behind Starlight Plaza?
Behind Starlight Plaza, there's a siren there.
Whetstone.
Whetstone Park, thank you. Whetstone Park is the next nearest one, and then there's one just into Toledo, just east on Alexis Road. So the optimum place to have the siren for the old number 3s would either be at the new number 3s, or if we move it down to Whiteford Elementary School, which I suggested that they do and tried to get the school to pick up the tab, to accept, here's a gift, take the siren. That would, yeah, some gift, but that would actually give them better coverage in that southern corridor. So that would be an ideal to have it there, but the school was not interested in taking over the siren. If it was
But
going to cost them.
there's no standard that says you need to have them every mile and a half?
Yeah, they have that, and it's out on the map itself to make sure they have coverage. And what they do is they go by the radius, the sound radius, and like over by the Boy Scout reservation where the trees are so dense, they have to have more sirens because the sound is muffled by the trees. So they have more sirens in that area than they would in an open area.
So if we don't move it, whose problem is it?
Well, I would imagine it might be the problems of ABC Warehouse if they're going to buy that building. I don't know, that's above my level.
But it would seem to me that it would be the county's problem because they have to provide sirens within a certain mileage interval.
I can have more conversations with them that the price still isn't right, and that I can make some attempts to get it taken care of. No problem, I'll bring it back in January.
Any other questions on those sirens?
No, I'm looking
Didn't we
through
move one from Hillview?
Yeah, we did.
The Hillview siren was moved, yes. And I'm not sure who paid for, we didn't move it, the county moved it. I'm not sure who paid for that and how that was taken care of by the county, I don't know.
Okay.
And I know that there was one added to the Boy Scout reservation several years ago, and again, I don't know who paid for that.
That came from the Burnham
When
building,
do we
didn't it?
plan for the transfer of the property on Whiteford?
We have the tower company working on it now.
Does that need to be addressed before we sell the property?
I don't know what
They're
is
gonna
in the
demo it.
purchase agreements for the siren pole.
They maintain them.
I would address that issue with them, because
think
if that's
the
gonna
pole's in
case,
the
and they're gonna
right of way.
demo the building, we better make sure we can get the siren off the roof
I
at
think.
least first.
I don't know,
Pole's in the right of way?
do you know if the pole's in the right of way, or is it actually on the property?
So I don't think it's in
Do you know if the pole's in the right of way, or is it actually on the...
I don't believe it's in the right of way, because it's very close to the station.
That's what I thought.
Both of them are very close to the station.
Probably,
Because I put that, actually years ago, I put that pad in at number 2's fire station, erected that tower when we did that. That's an 8 by 8 by 8 concrete cube in there, and I'm,
Yeah, it's huge.
yeah,
Because
would
you
like
have to be able
to,
to hold that pole.
Is the
But you got
equipment
tornado.
dismantled already?
pardon?
Isn't the equipment dismantled already?
Not at number 2s, and I don't know about the inside of number 3s, if that's dismantled yet or not. I don't believe so.
We never took that out of number 3s.
I believe it still worked the last siren test that they had. I could check on that, though.
I was thinking they did something with that, but
I know they went in to check it because it didn't work.
I imagine we'll need to check into making sure we get that equipment off the property before it's officially transferred over. Because once it's transferred over, it's, to me, it's part of the property.
Yeah.
It's theirs, so let's make sure we at least get it off the property.
Well, if we have to take the equipment off, I'm sure there's going to be a cost for a crane to move the siren off the tower, because it's,
Well, was one of your proposals to move it, or also was it to buy new sirens?
no, the one proposal to buy a new siren and erect a new siren is $17,000.
So this would just
To
be
move an
the
existing, right, would be
So we should at
$10,000.
least get it off the pole before closing.
Yeah, we'll work at that one.
Yeah, well, I think the equipment's out of the building though, isn't it?
No, I believe the equipment's still in the building. They had a problem with it alarming the last test they did, and I believe they went in and they fixed it. So that is still an active siren, I believe.
Thanks for
That's all
that
I have.
update.
Sure, yeah.
Yep, that.
I bet
It seems like you have to figure out what you're doing. I mean, I know what we're doing, but if you just take it down, then it won't be operating, and you've got a hole in the siren system.
Right.
Sure.
It seems like you gotta coordinate with getting the new one and who's gonna pay and what's gonna happen and getting it operable.
Well, don't we just have to move that in?
Short time.
Site, that's all it is.
I'll put you on that.
That happens on a new one.
No, we'll move it, but
Can you hold them again?
part of the cost.
Calling them.
Yeah, yeah, we can move it, but it's who ultimately pays. Or pays us
I'll work
back.
with the chief and EMS downtown and see what we can do.
Anything else on this issue?
No.
One last thing, we have a meeting set up on Monday at 10 a.m. Mr. Zeitler, myself, Al Hassan-Frass, and Mr. Burrell to discuss the KME letter. That is scheduled for the 10 a.m. on Monday. So we should be meeting with him and hopefully have some sort of a plan. I did attend a meeting last night at Owens Community College, a seminar, basically a seminar more than a meeting. And Northwood Fire Department was there, and I did talk to their chief, and they had a mini pumper that was of issue with KME that they ended up having replaced, that their attorney got them to replace it. And then I also talked to Rossford Fire Chief, and they had a couple issues with their engine, KME engine, when they first arrived, and since then, they haven't had any issues. They repaired them, and everything's been fine, so.
Good evening. Reporting on fire station number 2. We're nearly half complete. Completion is still set for March 11th. We had a great fall, but we're having a tough winter, and Midwest has the capability to work right through the winter. They have equipment that can thaw the ground, so the things that you think can't be done will be done, even though it doesn't seem like it. But they're on track to finish up, busy now closing up the building and putting the overhead doors in. They had some debate as to how to heat the interior of the building temporarily while they finished the building. The specifications weren't very specific as to what to do, so I provided them some national guidelines as to how to heat and manage the humidity and so forth, so that we have guidelines as to go forward till the permanent heat's in place. The sanitary sewer that we discussed at our last meeting, we're going to bore under the tree. Now it turns out that the county found a way for us to go around the tree. So we're no longer boring into the tree for $2,400. There'll be some expense with the going around the tree. But I was there today and watched them dig around it, and there wasn't even a single root that was disturbed, so that's all good news. And There's just a little bit of sidewalk repair and the cost of the going around with the fittings and so forth would be an extra cost, but it'd be minor compared to what we were talking about boring. Just to report that everyone on the site has been local. Every contractor and worker on the site has been local persons. It's been good for the economy, and the prevailing wage has been easy because everybody's been in the union, so it's been easy to administrate that. So that's all I have to report on 2. Do you have any questions? Fire station number 3, it's in discussion now. I have the punch list updated. There are maybe 8 or 9 things left to do, and I'm waiting for somebody to tell me what they want me to do as far as administrate it and push it through. It's in discussion right now with John Burrell and Harp's attorney, and I'm waiting for an agreement as to how we can move forward and close it out.
I think I would recommend that you and John Zeitler continue the discussion with John Burrell, but it really needs to go through the township administrator.
Okay.
Right, and I have been in contact with John Burrow, in fact, it was yesterday, and Harp's attorney has requested some documents, public information requests. We supplied those. John Burrell said send them to him directly, and he's working with the attorney on that. So I'm in contact with him, with Tom, and once the 2 attorneys work out the legal part, we'll go with John's advice on what we should do.
Okay.
But they're working right now.
And you're the right person to be talking
Right.
to our legal counsel.
Yeah, Tom's supplying me with all the emails, and
Okay.
I read them, and then if I need to, I contact John.
Perfect. Any problems with that protocol?
Yep.
Is there anything else for me? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And again, thanks for sitting in the line of sight here.
I learned from you.
Anything else for the fire department? All right, police department.
Good evening. You should have in front of you the police department's monthly report. I won't go through all the numbers here or whatever, but as you can see, where are we? Okay. We received 1,421 calls for service through the police department, and we issued 205 citations. We handled 65 accidents, traffic crashes, of which 52 were just property damage and 13 were injury. Our burglaries are pretty much staying pretty steady. We suffered 9 burglaries in the month. Domestic violence, which is typical for this time of year, is up quite a bit. We had 16 for the month. Assaults, which normally go down when it gets cold, we only had 3 of them. You'll see that our OVI arrests are considerably up at 24, and that's in large part due to the sobriety checkpoint that we conducted a couple of weeks ago, and then we've got grant money to have extra patrols out there specifically looking for OVIs. As far as the detectives, you'll just see that there were 58 total cases assigned, of which 36 were cleared, 22 are still active. There were 26 additional cases cleared from earlier months when they were assigned, for a total clearance of 62 cases in the month of November. We continue to be active in community events with the social agencies and such. Our DARE officers have been busy. I've attended a number of those. We continue to assist SCAT with some of their events, Sylvania Area Family Services. I'm now on the board for that. They asked me to be, so I'll be attending those meetings. Additionally, Lord's College has asked me to be on the advisory board for criminal justice, which I was pretty flattered about, and it's nice, and I attended that first meeting back a couple of weeks ago, December 9th, I think it was, and I see some positives out of that. I don't think I'm going to stretch out to teach like they're trying to recruit several of us, but anyway, that should be a fun process as far as suggesting the type of courses that they need to do and things like that to add in the curriculum. Our Shop with a Hero with the fire department at Myers on December 7th, and our Shop with a Cop at Walmart December 12th were very successful. Those, again, are very rewarding, as I'm sure Chief Kowalski can attest to, or Chief Lee. It's really nice to get those kids out there, and they're really excited to be able to be with one of us to do their shopping and such. We participated November 13th in the American Medicine Chest Challenge drop-off. That's where people drop prescription drugs at the police station so that we can discard them properly. And that went very well. Things have been pretty steady, but nothing earth-shattering, nothing different. I might also announce that within the last week here, Mr. Zeitler and I were just talking about it, but you probably got the email that Sergeant Dykes, Ron Dykes, is going to retire from the police department at the end of the month. And also I had dispatcher Lisa Corbin announced to me that sometime, it probably isn't going to be for at least a few months, but she's looking to relocate to Southern California, where her husband's family is. And so unfortunately, she's a very good dispatcher, but we'll be losing her, but it shouldn't be for at least a couple months. She wanted to just give me a heads up, because she was going to use me as a reference and that sort of thing too. So unfortunately, two good people, reliable people that we're going to lose, but we've been very lucky in our hiring. I'm sure we'll be able to replace them with good people. And then just one additional thing, just to show you the kind of appreciation. I mean, I'm so grateful for the support of the community that we continue to receive. And, getting nice emails or the different things they do. I just want to read a couple of quick little things. I received an email this Monday, December 20th, from a Miss Sheila Henry, who is evidently a resident, but I don't know where in the township. But I'll just read it very briefly. On Tuesday, December 14th, at approximately 10:30 p.m., my son Michael hit some ice as he was exiting northbound 23 Central Avenue. He slid into a ravine. Luckily, no other cars were involved. He was fine except for being a little shaken up. An officer arrived within a minute of the mishap. He stayed with Michael and kept him calm until his father arrived and the car was towed. I would like to express my appreciation to the officer in car 24, which in my research is Officer Randy Mall. He works a 7 p.m. to 3 a.m. shift. Unfortunately, Michael was unable to recall his name. I feel very fortunate to live in a community where the officers go above and beyond their call of duty to offer safety, comfort, and caring to their residents. So that was really nice. And then just the other thing, I want to compliment Officer Tom Smith for a job he did back on December 10th. Essentially, what we had was we had several cars broken into, entered, where they had stolen GPS units, cameras, purse, money, ID cards, and that sort of thing. They actually eventually stole 2 bicycles to make their rounds to get to even more vehicles. Officer Smith picked up the tracks on Westacre and Holland-Sylvania Road. He was able to track the subjects because of the snow down several streets and through several apartment complexes, backyards and woods and paths. He tracked them for over 5 miles to a residence in Holland, Ohio. There, they were able to recover all of the stolen property, and a female suspect was arrested. And again, I mean, that shows the diligence and the good job that the officers do. Yeah, 5 miles takes a lot of diligence. So, and again, like I said, I think that's, officers like that are why we get the support we do. But again, it's just really, it's rewarding to especially the individual officers, to get these nice emails and letters and such that recognize their efforts. And with that, I have nothing more.
I have to thank you. An officer, I wasn't home at the time, but responded to my house and unlocked a guest at our house keys in their car, so thank you.
I have a compliment on something that is in, I don't know what the title is, Highlights of Detectives' Cases. The first one on November 10th, 2010, detectives indicted a suspect for a 1993 sexual assault. That's quite something.
Yeah, that was really neat. That's something like you see on TV or on some of these shows or what, but they got to hit through CODIS. This guy was, a regular felon, and through comparing the DNA that was collected way back in 1993, this was a young girl, a 10-year-old that was walking in a wooded area between Hillview and Whiteford, and was sexually assaulted, and to come up with this guy, 17 years later is very sweet. In fact, it was really nice for Detective Tina Sini, because it was her dad, Mike McManus, Lieutenant McManus, that had the case back in 1993.
Wow.
So it was especially rewarding for her to be able to nab this guy that we didn't have any information for back in 1993 with her dad.
Wow, good for her and good for the community.
Yes.
That's great. I did have a question on the property room. I've got it already up here. I don't know what the title is. About the forfeiture report. Our share of federal seizures, and I wondered how we come up with that amount. Is it a federal formula? The following funds were deposited into a federal equitable sharing account, and then there are two entries, one for $12,000 some dollars, and then one for $1,637.65. And it says our share of the seizure, and I just wondered how that was.
Well, normally we get, I believe it's 10%, okay, in any of those cases. We get 10% of the funds, the proceeds of the forfeited assets or what. So yes, there is a formula that goes into it. I'm not familiar with these specific cases, but, to answer your question, there is a formula that goes into it.
Yeah, I was guessing 10%, but that's more than 10% of the number above, so I thought, well, maybe it comes from somewhere else. So I was just curious about that.
Okay.
That's like 15%. It's almost 15%.
Or,
Well,
those are
two
two different things.
Those are two different cases.
So, yeah, I was reading one way and then the other way, and I just wasn't sure what that meant.
Sure.
Okay. That's all I have for the chief. Anybody have anything else?
No.
Okay.
Administration.
Administrator.
Yes, I have one motion. It's extending our healthcare plan, which ends December 31st, for an additional month. As you're aware of, we are in negotiations with our unions, and in those union contracts provide for healthcare. Since we haven't wrapped up those negotiations yet, we are requesting extending the current plan with the new rates for 1 month, through the month of January. At that time, we hope to have everything wrapped up and then start a new plan on February 1st. It will be 11th year for that plan. And we have worked with our consultant on it, and we have everything ready to go.
John, I know you did some work in this. Everything's all copacetic as far as you can tell.
Yeah, obviously there's a lot that goes into this, and the timing of the fact that it's kind of locked into the contract negotiations makes it even more difficult than the normal businessman goes through on their renewal. So,
Sure.
I think we just extend it, and hopefully we get things wrapped up by the end of January.
Correct.
Would you like to offer the motion?
Oh, sure. I would like to offer motion 10-468, the extension of township health insurance through the month of January.
Second.
All in roll, Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Ms. Contrada?
Yes. Anything else for Mr. Zeitler? Well, he saved some trees by not putting up the agenda as we move to the fiscal officer's portion. We have a lot of motions here.
We were combining these.
Well, this will be at the first of the year.
Okay.
We'll be changing how we present the financial issues, and I'm going to ask Mr. Beck if he can run through the motions as I work our
You worked your magic on that?
Well, I haven't been working real good magic lately with it, but
And
getting better.
I do have a recommendation. At the very bottom of this portion of the agenda is the PDF that's the explanation of agenda items. And to me, the explanation needs to come first, so that we can kind of follow along as we read it. I don't know if there's a way you could put it, just...
Actually, it is at the first. I don't know how it's coming on yours, but on my particular agenda, it's the very first item.
It's last on the... Well, that's great. So as long as the public can follow along with the explanation, we'll just go one motion at a time.
I guess the very first motion is to approve the, motion 10-457 is to approve the November financial statements. Now, it is printed, the financial statements are printed in here, excuse me. I don't know, Mr. Simco, did you want to read the month-end analysis? I have it up on the screen, or would you
I
like
don't
me
have it
to?
in front of me. I'll let you read it.
Okay.
Since it'll be a little, well, I can read it from here, and then I can see it.
Okay.
Well, people can read it too, but we have the November 2010, the month-end analysis, and we're hoping that, our goal is that all expenditures at the end of November 2010 is not to exceed 91.67% of the annual budget. And again, reviewing the the major funds, the general fund is operating expenses are at 76.51 of annual anticipated expenditures. With more than a month to go, the general fund is in excellent condition with regard to budgeted expenses versus what has actually been spent. Revenue at the end of November is at 126.64% of what was budgeted. The two line items that exceeded our expectations in 2010 were the inheritance taxes and the cable system franchise fees. Road and Bridge Fund operating expenses are at 72.5% of annual anticipated expenditures. The general fund, the Road and Bridge Fund, is in excellent condition with regard to budgeted expenses versus what has actually been spent. Revenue at the end of November 2010 is at 100.6% of what was budgeted for the year. We do not expect any substantial revenue for the last month of the year. The Police Fund is operating expenses are at 83.1% of the annual anticipated expenditures. With the month of December remaining for operating expenses, we do not anticipate any radical increases. The Police Fund should close the calendar year well below the annual budgeted amount. Revenue at the end of November 2010 is at 101.3% of annual budgeted amount. The Police Fund will have some additional revenues in December, but only smaller amounts, which will not increase the percentage that much. And finally, the Fire Fund, operating expenses are at 85.7% of the annual anticipated expenditures. We do not anticipate any major increases in operating expenses, so we expect the Fire Fund to end the calendar year well below the annual budget amounts. Revenue at the end of November 2010 is at 100.5% of annual budget amounts. We do anticipate one additional payment to the Lucas County EMS system of $164,384, which will put the Fire Fund revenue at 102.66%. And as we've been saying, in closing, as we've mentioned, as the year's really gone on, earlier in the year and even 3 quarters into the year, you're always concerned about the numbers as we're going along. But as I mentioned last month, our managers in all the departments have been doing a good job of really watching their budgets. And I think this has frankly been our best year of real cognizance of what our expenditures are, what our revenues are and our expenditures. I think we've had good cooperation with the departments and that in really trying to stay within budget. And I think that's paid off for us this year. And Jim Beck has done a real good job too on he's kind of the gatekeeper sometimes, and Jim, they have to get through Jim before they get some additional money. So I want to thank them for their work and that they're doing. It's not easy, and we appreciate it in the finance area.
I feel like we need a round of applause for our department chairman. This is really quite remarkable. Great job.
And that's all I have on that first motion, and then Jim is going to go through as I with my system here. I don't know that we have a motion and a second on that.
Yeah, we don't, yeah. Motion 10-457 is to approve the November 2010 financial statements subject to audit.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it. You know,
I'm sorry, yeah.
My screen just froze, so I froze too.
And subject to audit.
Correct.
Yes.
And I'll call the roll then. Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Ms. Contrada?
Yes.
There you go.
Okay, I'd like to offer motion 10-458, motion to amend beginning fund balances. This particular motion is being requested because of audit, a request from the auditor. He no longer wants us to use what I consider the bond fund. It's a fund that you use under generally accepted accounting practices, but trustee township law in the state of Ohio says you don't use it. So we've had to amend the beginning balance or fund balances in those particular two funds.
I'll offer motion 10-458, motion to amend beginning fund balances for 2010.
Second.
I want some discussion though. So now how is this gonna work? Are we gonna not have the bond fund available to us and all our money's gonna go to the fire fund?
According to the township rules, okay,
Home rule, township?
home rule, okay, monies are not supposed to go into what I consider a bond fund, and then transferred through the fund that we generally is borrowing the money. Township rules say that we can do it directly to that particular.
So we're gonna eliminate that fund altogether and just put it right in the fire fund?
Right.
I got it.
That's what we would do. And it's
I wanna make sure that's what we're doing.
Okay.
Sounds good?
Hey, Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
Yes?
Ms. Contrada?
Yes.
I'd like to offer motion 10-459, a motion to amend the certificate of estimated resources. And again, this includes the bond fund. It includes the bond retirement fund. We're amending the certificate of estimated resources, and this is cleanup work. As you can see, the one big one there is the bond fund, which is 410, and we're just totally eliminating that.
Okay. Off, motion 10-459, motion to amend the certificate of estimated resources.
Second.
Calling the roll. Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Ms. Contrada?
Yes.
Motion 10-460 is a motion to eliminate the estimated revenue and appropriations in the bond fund. Again, this is a cleanup of the bond fund.
I'll offer motion 10-460, motion to eliminate estimated revenue and appropriation of the bond.
Second.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Ms. Contrada?
Yes.
I'd like to offer motion 10-461, and this is to increase the appropriation in the OPWC fund. And this is the North Republic grant proceeds were $270 more than what we had originally thought they were going to be. And this particular fund is just we recognize the revenue and we recognize the expense. It's not there's no cash that actually goes out.
I'll offer motion 10-461, motion to increase appropriation in the OPWC fund.
Second.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Ms. Contrada?
Yes.
Motion 10-462 is to change the appropriations in the police grant fund. One of them is to increase The grant Advance In Bulletproof Vest by $400. And the other one is to decrease another line item or expense account of $2,458. The first one is a revenue account, the second one is an expense account.
I'll offer motion 10-462, motion to change appropriations in the police grant fund.
Second.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Ms. Estrada?
Yes.
Motion 10-463 is to appropriate funds in the fire fund, and this has to do with that $84,000 that we, the beginning balance that we just approved for the...
Okay, I'll offer motion 10-463, increase appropriations in fire fund.
Second.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Ms. Estrada?
Yes.
Motion 10-464 is to approve the appropriate funds in the permanent improvement fund in account the buildings and improvements, $462.35, and this had to do with the installation of the water line and stuff. We didn't have quite enough money in there to complete that, so we were short $462
What water line?
for the brine out and back.
Oh, for the brine tank
Yeah.
water line, the one that we did out here in the back.
Right, yeah.
Go ahead, Jim.
I'll offer motion 10-465.
464.
Oh,
You went
that's
ahead.
why I don't like this SIRE thing, but I'm too busy looking at the computer instead of, but anyway, I'll offer 10-464 to install the water line for the brine tank.
Second.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
Yeah.
Ms. Estrada?
Yes.
Motion 10-465 is to approve an intra-fund transfer in the general fund. We were short a few dollars in a couple of accounts. One of them was the salary support staff, $650, and the other one was some office supplies, and we're just transferring from another line item.
I'll offer motion 10-465, approve interfund transfer to the general fund.
Second.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Ms. Estrada?
Yes.
I'd like to offer motion 10-466, motion to approve the interfund transfer in the road and bridge fund, and we were short $45 in that line item, other expenses, and we're just transferring from another account.
I'll offer motion 10-466, motion to approve intrafund transfer in the road and bridge fund.
Second.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Ms. Estrada?
Yes.
I'd like to offer motion 10-467, and this is to approve an interfund transfer in the police fund. And again, we were short $117 in the life insurance account, and we're taking it from the medical and drug account, which we have plenty of money left in, so.
I'll offer motion 10-467, motion to approve intrafund transfer in the police fund.
Second.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Ms. Estrada?
Yes.
And finally, resolution 10-366 is the annual appropriation. This is our budget. We have the actual resolution and then the attachments. Ms. Contrada has requested that the motion, or the page at the bottom of the pages, that instead of just numbering them, as I have, I'll say page 1 of 13, page 2 of 13, et cetera. I can change that. That's just a matter of changing the footer at the bottom. But
And I'm also recommending that they be identified as an attachment to the annual appropriation resolution, so that we know that this is the official attachment. And I think each page needs to be labeled.
Okay. I'll offer resolution 10-366, annual appropriation for our budget.
Second. Any discussion?
In the resolution, and I just basically did the same one as we did last year, but I'd like to make it effective January 1st instead of 30 days from the filing of this resolution. I don't know if we need to,
Oh, no, we'll make it effective January 1st, it's fine. So I'll amend that on there?
okay.
You want to amend your motion?
Yep. To read that, it's effective January 1st.
I'll amend my second.
Okay.
Any discussion on the resolution or the budget itself? Do you have the budget up there? For the members of the public, this is what the final document looks like. We've had several budget workshops where we went over each line item, discussed those forecasts, the assumptions that we made in pretty much every category. And if our projections and our expenditures hold as good as we did this year, this time next year, I think we'll be very proud of this budget too. It's a lot of work. The department chairman really went at this in the appropriate way with Mr. Beck, with Mr. Zeitler when he came on board and looked at every single thing, fine-tooth comb. And when you see this board passing resolutions that move $45, that's because that's how closely everyone looks at their budget. We want to be able to account for every penny, to project as accurately as possible, and I'm very impressed with what you've done. All of them. Are there any particular line item questions or changes or anything that we need to discuss? All right.
Call the roll. Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Mr. Contrada?
Yes.
I'd like to make one comment. Are you all done now?
Yes.
Okay. That this will be available to the public on our website as of next year, the first of the year, so you'll be able to start looking at all these documents. They'll be available to you through SIRE. You won't have to sit there and come in for a public records request. It's all going to be on the website. So it's something that's going to be better for everyone all the way around, saving trees.
Is that your editorial for the part that I didn't ask?
Yes, sir. I can appreciate you not like a fire.
They'll be able, if I could add, they'll be able to log on to our website, and under agendas and minutes, there'll be a section that's titled effective January 1st, 2011. You just click on that, and then you'll be able to click on the agenda. It'll bring up the agenda that's been published and all the supporting documents that are available. Just like I'm bringing up on the screen, it'll be the identical documents. Once the minutes are approved and signed electronically, we'll publish those and they'll be attached also, right next to the agenda. I can't comment on the audio yet because I'm not 100% sure how that's going to work. So.
Well, you did a great job with, again, a really complex agenda, which meant that you were operating without a license there and making sure everything came up. And I think we need to continue to look at a way to have someone who's dedicated to doing this so that you can fully participate as opposed to trying to operate and talk. And you do a very good job in the Lions one.
We'll be working on that in the next year.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anything else for the fiscal officer?
Nope.
All right. Moving to hearing of the public. Did anyone sign up to speak?
Executive session.
We're going to have at it.
If you want to go in your office afterwards, we can.
Al Hayes.
Okay.
Good evening. Al Hayes, 1745 Dale Court. I know you're going to miss this, but this is the last opinion for the year and my comments, so I thought I would make that public record. Good luck to you, Carol. Thanks for all the time and that you spent and the great job you've done for us. You really have. You've had our ups and downs, but you've done an excellent job. You were paid quite well for the job, huh? All right, moving along. Thank you again, really. In regards to the appointment of the next trustee, to finish the rest of your term, I know you can only suggest a person, Carol, if I may, but with you, Kevin and John, you have a vote. I would hope you would not take a person from the past, or someone who has not been to the meetings or involved or in political attack. That's why I'm strongly recommending Penny Levine, who has worked on a lot of the township business, also will listen to the people, also was heard in the votes, I believe, from the people. That's just my opinion. Next item. Also, can we take our yard waste to Bancroft, or is that just for the township pickups that we were paying for?
You can take that, but you have to pay for that out of your own pocket. And it's gonna be $6.
So the county decided not to do it, and and you didn't take the other part of the proposal?
It's $55,000 there.
You didn't take that part of the proposal? So I just bring it up here and dump my stuff like I've been?
No, you take it over, yeah, you can take it over there and they charge you $6 a cubic yard.
Well, why should I get charged? I never got charged before, the taxes paid for it.
Over to the Cleanwood Recycling.
Yeah, through the county, right.
The county made the decision after.
Carol, would you
So
like?
you guys didn't pick up the slack.
Talk to me next week.
Talk to her next week, she'll be kind of,
I knew that was the case, but I thought I'd do that. And I'd just like to wish everyone a happy holidays. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, yes, Bob Jankowski.
Bob Jankowski, 7036 Boston Road. I've been a township resident for plus 50 years. I am an ex-member, assistant chief at number 2 fire station. I was on the Sylvania Township Police Auxiliary, and I love the township. I feel that we've been bypassing a couple splendid officers with Chief Bowman and Chief Wilson. I would like to see a good serious consideration before you go out of town. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. That mic wasn't on.
Thank you.
No one else has signed up to speak, so I will close this meeting. And we'll go on to, anybody else have any other?
Yes, I do have another. I'd like to thank you for your 7 years of service in the township. You served the community well. I'm glad that you're going to be going to the county because now we have finally somebody from the suburbs to represent us. So it's good to have a voice outside the city of Toledo who can look at the problems in the outlying communities and not think county commissioner is going to be a Toledo job even about Toledo all the time. And we need somebody who's going to look at our best interest too, as well as, what's going to happen with the future. So congratulations. We wish you well in all your endeavors, and we're going to bug the crap out of you.
I hope you do.
So there you go.
Good luck, Carol, and peace to everybody, and be safe.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I would like to take a few minutes to read something because I was afraid I would get choked up. So I'm going to read to you, and here I go. Tonight is my last regular meeting as a Sylvania Township trustee. It's been a privilege to be elected to serve the community where I grew up, and a great honor to be the first trustee re-elected in over 17 years. I want to thank the citizens of Sylvania Township for your support over the past 7 years and your confidence in me. When I took office in January 2004, like most newly elected officials, I had certain things that were very important to me. For me, it was land use issues, believe it or not, Tim. The preservation of green space and establishing a plan for thoughtful growth and development. However, as a new trustee anxious to make immediate improvements in land use planning and in zoning Sylvania Township, I was surprised to discover that there were many things that I took for granted that were now my job to maintain or improve if I could. I lived in the age of faith. Faith that the fire department would respond within moments. Faith that the police would come when I needed them. I had faith that the leaves would be picked up in the fall, and the snow would be plowed in the winter, and the roads would remain in good repair. Basically, I had no clue about how things worked, and no clue about the people who go to work every day so Sylvania Township remains a great place to live and work and raise a family. In the past 7 years, Sylvania Township has moved forward and improved in every area of operation. We've added mileage to our yearly road maintenance schedule. We've built or will be building 3 new fire stations using alternative energy sources. We've hired new firefighters and police officers. We've improved communication with the public and with our employees. We've saved taxpayer dollars. We've improved our fiscal efficiency. We achieved a AA+ bond rating and built our financial reserves. We have done good planning, and we've planned for the future, and we've preserved green space. We have a very lean administrative staff for a community of our size, and our administrative staff is second to none. One thing is still true for me in 2010 as it was true 7 years ago. If I need firefighters, they respond within moments. If I need the police, they come. My street's plowed in the winter, the leaves are picked up in the fall, and the roads are in good repair. And we've made great strides in thoughtful, sustainable land use and development. We truly have great people who work on behalf of the citizens of Sylvania Township. In these difficult economic times, we're working harder and harder to maintain and even improve those basic services. The credit for all these things that I no longer take for granted is solely due to the diligence, dedication, and commitment on the part of our great Sylvania Township employees. Our community has vibrant and interesting neighborhoods, wonderful and caring residents, outstanding parks and schools. But one asset that we need to recognize are the township employees who do the real work that makes Sylvania a great place to live and work. If there have been successes during my 2 terms as a trustee, they are all due 100% to the police officers, the firefighters, the road crews, the dispatchers, the zoning officers, the budget specialists, and the administrative staff of Sylvania Township. It has been my greatest honor to work with you. As a trustee, as a resident, and as a colleague, I want to thank you for what you do every day for Sylvania Township. It has been one of the greatest pleasures of my life to work with you. You're the ones who make the community attractive, safe, vibrant, and strong, and a place I'm proud to call home. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you all, and with that, I would like to offer
Clear it off the last motion.
motion 10-469, motion to
Excuse me.
Do you want to do a quick executive session on union negotiations?
No, we don't.
Okay.
Okay.
Calling the motion, Mr. Denoy.
Yes.
Mr. Haddad.
Yes.
And Ms. Contrada.
Yes.
Did you second that?
Oh, you're not going to.
Guess what showed up?